Hi, everyone. This is our new stream at approximately 9:18 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday night. This is the Angry Bitch Club, where we talk about everything and anything that has to do with women and saving women's lives due to domestic violence and other crimes. We had a technical issue with StreamYard. We could hear ourselves in the studio just fine, Hannah and I, but the broadcast out was choppy. So we went for an hour. We had a little bit of choppiness. We decided to end it. So we hope you found us. We are on a new stream now that's on our library. So I'm going to add Hannah to the stage here, and we will testing 1, 2, 3. Hopefully some.
Okay, so can my followers and stuff, because I want to make sure that they're able. Is it still the same link?
No, it'll be a different link. So hang on a second. Let me just
send that to me, or send that to me so I can send it out.
Yeah, I just want to see if it's working before we send it out. So I'm waiting for Julie to come in, our buddy. Let me let her know we're live and see if she can tell us what's happening with the voice, because I'm still hearing some weirdness. Now, I went onto YouTube and I played it and it didn't sound that bad to me. So I'm not sure. I mean, I thought it was not terrible. So at least the first hour wasn't terrible. But let me check with Julie and see if she can come live with us. And hey, Julie, can you come live with us and hop in the chat box and let me know how choppy we sound now? If this is obviously a StreamYard issue, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do about it tonight. So let me know if it's passable so we can finish it tonight's show, or otherwise we'll finish tonight's show tomorrow night. Just let me know what we've got going on in the chat box, because to us in the studio, we're not hearing anything too terrible. Thank you.
I know. I had messages.
Julie's my co-host on Friday nights for Friday Night Lives when we talk about the Karen Reed trial. So she's also kind of my mod. She doesn't know it, but she's my wrench. She's my wench and my wrench and my co-host. And I've just never given her that little wrench sign by her name, but I want to. So one of these days, Julie, you're getting that wrench, because she always helps me when there's technical issues and problems. So if there's anybody out there that joined us, she's back. How do we sound now, Julie? Are we still choppy? Chop testing 1, 2, and 3. I'll give her a minute to type in the chat box and let us know if we sound bad, because to each other we don't sound bad. But that's let's see here. What has she got here? Crazy shit going on in LA. Oh, she said it's better. Great. And now Michelle's with us. Good. So this is perfect. I have no idea what's going on in LA. I haven't watched any news today. Michelle and I were busy dealing with her sister's disappearance and the nefarious behavior of Tyrone Mormon and Joseph Mayton, and the cops not doing their jobs, and DCF not doing their jobs. And so I don't even know what's going on in the world outside of Sarah Ebersole. Today was all about Sarah for me. I did not pay a damn bit of attention to anything but my puppy and Michelle and her quest to find her sister and to get Cora away from Joe. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We're on a new stream right now because I guess the old one was choppy. I guess StreamYard had a bunch of issues today. I guess JFK's live streams had issues where he had to restart and make a new stream. So let's hope we don't start sounding choppy again. This can happen sometimes because of the technology involved. You can be like halfway through a live stream and suddenly have like the link breaks of sorts from the broadcast center out to the world. So we can all hear each other fine. We sound fine to each other, but everybody in the chat box is saying, oh, we're hearing sounds like a fan, or you don't sound right. You sound choppy. Because something breaks between the studio, the StreamYard technical studio, and the world, basically.
I did have my fan on, to be fair, so that might have been the problem for a little bit, because I'm just at that age where, I don't know, I need a fan.
You get hot?
Michelle, I love you.
That's because you're smoking, you're so hot.
What did you say?
I said, you're smoking, you're so hot. That's why I see that hair. I can't see you all the way in the... I see shiny hair. That's all I can do.
Lips. Y'all thought I was playing.
We're all so small on the screen, it's hard to see everybody, but I can see that shiny hair is all flattened out.
Well, I'll
Yes,
put it
girl.
up big here in a second. I just wanted to show everybody this amazing sign that you made from scratch yourself. Got the wood and the whole 9 yards. These are the signs that Michelle, I'll let you tell everybody a little bit about it, where you've put these signs up.
Okay, so we crowdfunded 4-foot by 8-foot signs, and we used the Marion County Sheriff's flyer on one side that had all the information they provided, and then one of my friends, Deborah, had made the more detailed side with the last photos of Sarah, like what she had, her tattoo, fingernail, cell phone, and what her wallet and shoes looked like from that evening. So if any of those items were found, obviously it could revert back to that. We put them on 441. Going down towards Pearl's Barbecue, kind of would be the closest proximity if you're in the area. There's one off of 316. There's one off of 80th and Rolling Hills in Denellen, Florida. There's actually one propped up in my yard until we take it to go put it up. We're putting one up at the Yamaha dealership off 441 at Martin Yamaha in Ocala, Florida. There's going to be another one going up at Jenny Springs in Ocala, Florida. And there's one up near Terry's Barbecue. The VFW actually had a committee meeting and allowed us to put one up off 36th Avenue. Actually, down off the same road where Tyrone Mormon kind of works, and they have their family business.
Nice.
That's great. I'm just putting up this new link on Facebook so everybody can re-find us again if they want to.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
nothing was popping up on Facebook, so I didn't log on, and then it finally came through.
I gotta send the link out too, because I've got people messaging me and they're like, I can't find y'all. I'm like, hang on.
I was doing a live myself, and then the message came through. It was like, oh shoot, gotta go, guys.
Gotta go, bitches with the angry bitches. Okay, so I do have a question for you, Catherine, while you send that link, because me and Catherine were talking about the cigarette situation earlier, and Sarah's smoking habits. Was she the type of person that had cigarette packs everywhere, or was she more like the type of person that her cigarettes were right by her at all times? Because that's how I am.
No, usually right by her. Right by her, because when she went up to the gas station and bought the wine and the 2 beers or whatever, she bought a pack of cigarettes because she was most likely running low and out.
Okay, so she's not the type of person who buys multiple packs and just has them laying around.
No, like she doesn't buy like a carton. I don't smoke. A carton with a bunch of cigarettes. She doesn't buy a carton ever. She just buys one at a time.
Is she a chain smoker?
If she was like, if people were sitting outside smoking, she would smoke with you, like just letting it burn in her hand kind of thing. So yeah, she would go through a few of them. Not really so much smoking, but she would be out there with them in her hands. You know what I mean?
So it would be safe to say that she wouldn't leave her cigarettes behind.
No, she definitely wouldn't. They would be kind of with her. She might be like, oh, shoot. And if she left them on the table and like left and went somewhere, she would have stopped at the next store and got another pack.
Exactly. Because, I mean, every smoker is different, but that is an important key, because her cigarettes and lighter, for me, I have my cigarettes and lighter before I have my purse whenever I smoke cigarettes. Now that I vape, my vape is in my hand. I even sleep with it in my hand. It's horrible. But like, I'm that much of a nicotine, addict that I have to have it at all times. So it was a question, it was Sarah like that, or was it normal for her to leave cigarettes behind? Which it doesn't sound like it does.
So let's say like when Sarah lived with me, she never smoked in the house or anything, but if she was going to go play on like Facebook, TikTok, and just watch videos or watch a Netflix, she might go stand out on the porch and smoke a cigarette or sit outside in the chair. Same thing when she moved in with her roommate, she would go sit outside and listen to music, play on her phone because she didn't smoke inside.
Yeah. She would So we just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, and like when she had her car, same thing. The cigarettes might be sitting in the car, and she might have to run out and grab them out of the car. But I've never seen her buy like a carton of cigarettes ever. I don't even think I've ever seen her buy 2 packs at one time.
Most people, well, I never did, simply because I just couldn't afford it, and I, sometimes scraping one pack, enough money for one pack of cigarettes was a lot. I mean, they're expensive.
Right. And she didn't smoke like Black and Milds or any of that. It was just cigarettes, just menthol cigarette.
It's very interesting because,
thank you for reiterating that, Hannah, to Michelle, because we were concerned about that and worried that maybe she never did get home, that maybe that was just an extra pack. But I get that. I mean, most people can't really, cigarettes are expensive, and most people can't really afford to buy more than 1 or 2 at a time.
Right. And I know people could always speculate that, when she went to go get the ride to the gas station, maybe she left them there, forgot them, and that's why she bought another pack. And maybe they were just there all along. They can always speculate that, I guess.
Sure. I mean, they can. So, and there's, so yeah, we really, until somebody tells us the truth, where they drove her, and that would be you,
Right.
Tyrone Norman, because you drove her
Yeah, we're
somewhere.
stuck.
So we're stuck. So this case is literally
Like we're-
stuck. Are you still with us, Hannah? I think
Hannah's frozen.
she's frozen, so she's stuck now. So I'm going to mute her mic. Let me see if I can unkick her. I'm going to let her come back in. Hannah, I'm going to kick you from the studio so you can actually come back in. Yeah, frozen. Exactly, Julie. She's frozen.
Probably like, great. She's going to see this later and be like, you just left me sitting on the screen like that.
Yeah, and exactly when we just talking about being stuck, that your sister's case is now stuck because Tyrone Norman won't tell us where he drove her, when we know damn well he drove her somewhere.
Well, that's the thing. I just did a live on my Facebook, and I was basically just stating that no matter what anybody in his family, his friends, network, my people, any of that want to say, it doesn't change the fact that if he drove her and came over there, he was there for any of what they're claiming could have happened. Right. He would have witnessed any of it. And then he still drove her, and only he knows where he drove her. And the case will never go anywhere until he says where he drove her. And there's never going to be a search area until we know where he drove her.
I know it's so maddening, because it's hard to believe that a case can get stuck like this because of one person unwilling to talk. And then the police, the Marion County Sheriff, not having enough to rearrest. Because I spoke with Detective Sheely today. I mean, the Sergeant Sheely, and he's the sergeant over the detectives on this case. And he told me that they have been stuck between a rock and a hard place because they don't have anything per se that they can use to arrest Joe. They don't have anything per se that they can use to arrest Tyrone, because they've already arrested him and released him. So that can't be redone. They already arrested him for lying about his phone. They already he already dealt with that. So until they come up with something new that Tyrone didn't tell them, and they find out he lied again, then they could arrest him again for lying. But they don't have that right now.
And that's what I said on my live too, so people would understand. Like, we know that he's been arrested, but he was only arrested for the cellular device and lying about the cellular device. That case is closed. He got probation. They have to have new evidence for new warrants to arrest him for anything else. And then they have to have more evidence to stack against him, or they release him. So obviously I have enough knowledge to know they're waiting, that they're doing their job, that they're stuck because Tyrone won't give the information, and they have so much, but they don't want to smack that against him yet until they get a little more.
And that makes sense. I was going to let you know that I did reach out to Mr. Black and asked him to cover Sarah's story before mine. My case is closed, and Sarah is like immediate attention now, every day.
Yeah, we got to keep the pedal to the metal, because there's a child involved as well. And now we found out today from the sergeant that DCF, in their wisdom, has decided that everything with Joe and Cora is just fine. That they've interviewed Cora and she's fine. She's 6, mind you. So what is she going to tell an investigator in front of the man who we believe is abusing her? How do you think that's going to go over, audience? That makes zero sense, right? Why would DCF be able to interview a child in front of the parent ever in any world? Because if these, and not to mention the fact, I could understand if it was the first time that a parent has ever had a complaint against them, because we're not in the business, social workers, of taking kids away from their parents. That's not what it's about. It's about protecting the child at all costs and making sure that that parent is doing their job as a parent and not injuring the child, making sure they're going to school, they're fed, they're clothed, they're not being beaten, they're not being sexualized. That is what the job of every good parent is. And if there's a report for whatever reason from a teacher, a neighbor, a family member, that report has to be investigated. Now, the report, could it be wrong? Yes, of course. And again, we don't want parents wrongly accused of crimes against their own children. But when there's a report, it has to be gone through. Now, look at how many times we read about these horror stories where parents had their children taken from them when they didn't do what they were accused of doing. And it was later shown. But in the meantime, their kids are in a foster home and they're being abused in a foster home. I mean, the system is so effed up in so many ways with where it comes to the Department of Children and Families. And why is that? Why can't a department that is their only job in life is to protect children? That's their job. That's what they're a department for. Why can't they fix this crap? Why can't they hire more people so there's more vetting? More vetting.
Well, I even said, they have the capability, because I understand the law with Department of Children and Families. They have the capability in a situation like this where this child has been drugged from state to state and there's different agencies involved, and they might know there's a red flag, but they can't prove it because they weren't the handling agency and they didn't speak to Joseph and they didn't get all the sides at that point. But they know the reports happen. They can do a dependency case. They don't even have to remove the child to do the dependency case. They can enlist a guardian ad litem. They can enlist a social worker that goes to the school and talks to her weekly to monthly, and then it spreads out to monthly after a while. And this could go on for 6 months. And then if they think additional issues are going on that they need to figure out, or parenting classes or whatever they're trying to get done, they'll extend it to a year. And then they'll have a court hearing where they decide where the problem lies. Is this child truly in needing of help? Or is it just a situational problem, like he's homeless because of jobs? And is it because of me harassing him like he claims? But those things would be investigated. But then you'd have that guardian ad litem, which is just that volunteer person that's a third party to go, listen, this kid says these things. She seems fearful when she goes with him. She seems happy when she's away from him, but she seems fearful when she goes back. That would be somebody to speak on her behalf. And then they could do a removal. And then it would cover DCF's ass.
Yes. Absolutely.
For all departments of DCF. And they're not doing it. They're just acting like, well, we haven't talked to him, they said. And because we haven't talked to him, we can't do an investigation because we don't know all sides. And I was like, but the accusations are bruises and it's been over a month. So the bruises won't be there when you see him. And of course, he's bribed her with whatever treat or candy or made her feel nice for a day. So she seems happy when you've approached. But then he also won't let you talk to her alone. And you're like, well, that's within his legal right as an adult. Come on now.
Well, and I can speak on my father, who was an evil monster. Like, I mean, I would wake up in the mornings to him beating my mother and telling her she was going to be unalived that day. But then in the evening, when he would come home from work, I'd be out. We lived on a farm. I'd be out playing, and he'd pull in the driveway, and I'd run up, and that was my hero. And he was a monster. He was a monster, but I loved him, and I didn't know any different. And when DFS did get involved with us in Missouri, they came to our elementary school and pulled us out of class and talked to us individually. And I can remember I was in kindergarten. I was like, yeah, my dad beats my mom, because to me it was normal. And I didn't know that other dads didn't beat their mom or their wives or whatever, their girlfriends, period. And then, like, I know every state is different, but it should be a federal umbrella that children should be taken care of. I don't think it should be a state by state thing, because it sounds like in Florida, they didn't talk to Cora by herself, and that's a problem.
They didn't.
Because when I was living in Mississippi, and obviously that's not Florida, this was in 2000. I moved in 2008. So that was a year after I got burned. I was still very much bedridden and sick and just dealing with a lot of issues, still healing. And my daughter, my youngest at the time, she had turned 3, and we lived in the country. And I guess for whatever reason, she decided to go potty outside, number 2. And the neighbor, for whatever reason, thought, okay, there's a problem, and hotlined me. And DFS showed up, and I'm like, okay, she's being potty trained. You know, I was set on fire right after she turned 2. It's been an issue. And the caseworker was like, well, I need to speak to each of your children individually. And she did. And she did her job, and she left.
Right, right.
And I can talk about my own stuff too, because I grew up with my grandparents when I was younger. I did not grow up with my parents because of like little abuse things with them as infancy. You know what I mean? Nothing major. But, not a steady home. They were in and out of jail or in trouble themselves. So we lived with my grandparents by the time I was age 3. And my grandparents beat the ever-loving pee out of us throughout our whole entire life. And I mean welts, bruises, bleeding, all the above. And I was sexualized until I was age 12 by my grandfather. And I always spoke. So it was actually opposite. I would go to the guidance counselor and divulge everything. I never held back ever. But my brothers did. They would say, oh, Michelle's making it up. But back then it was HRS before it became Department of Children and Families. And they would send out HRS. They would call ahead because we lived in the middle of the boonies in the woods. They would give my grandparents the heads up. They would threaten my brothers. If they said something, they'd be removed and put in foster care and never see their family or go. They would actually always say, you're going to live under the bridge with your drunk father, like to scare tactic them. And I was like, I'll live under a bridge like a troll. I don't care. But either way, they would come and I would still tell them and they would leave me there. They'd be like, oh, we just think that Michelle must be making it up. She's got behavioral issues, the grandparents said. But I had good grades. I did well in academics. I never had any issues. My school counselor knew there was a problem, but they would separate me to question me. But even with like the sexual nature allegations, they questioned me and asked questions and they never removed me. I ran away and that's what removed me. And I wouldn't go back. Like I told them I wouldn't go back.
The system has failed everyone.
Yeah, they sent my grandparents were made to go do parenting classes. And then once the parenting classes were over, they were like in a temporary foster home. They went back home with them. And they lived out the rest of their duration until they were old enough, getting beat to death. And I left the situation and I was kind of the protector of them getting beaten. So I took the majority of the beatings. You know what I mean? But I mean, we're not talking about a spanking. Like my grandfather had a Herbert belt for his name. I had the name across my back one time, like welted into me. I mean, we're talking about being beaten against the wall till you're unconscious and dropped on the ground. Like they never did anything.
It's so sad to see. It's so sad
mind you, I'm
to see
42
that
years
you're all
old.
so strong because we've had to endure so much. So it's like people will tell me, oh my gosh, you're so strong. And I'm sure people tell you you're so strong. And to me, I can tell you you're so strong, but I know how it feels to say I don't have a fucking choice.
Like, what else are you going to be? Like, you had to, like, I can, like you said about your grandfather, like it was, I mean, your dad, whatever, like he was happy sometimes and he was your world. Well, my grandfather wasn't. Like, I disliked him, but I was never per se rude to him, I guess. I knew that it was inappropriate, everything he did from abuse to sexual. But like during the day, he would be fine because he only tried to do it at nighttime. We would still go out in the garden and do stuff like a normal family. He would take us out in the boat. We go fishing all the time. But during those fishing excursions to anybody, I would seem happy and content and fine because he wasn't touching me and he wasn't beating me.
Right. Because as a child, you were relieved that you were getting to do something fun.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that my grandparents were like, we lived in a poverty area, but our family, I guess, wasn't like lower income like maybe others were. We had more than the other kids around us, but we lived in a little house. We grew our own vegetables. You know what I'm saying? But people would have just assumed from outside looking in. My grandfather worked in the community, helping people, giving them wood, vegetables, everything. My grandmother was part of the Lions Club. She was part of the school. She was at the school giving us the Swish. Do you remember Swish?
Yeah.
Like the mouthwash. Yeah. Like she walked around the school doing that. You know what I mean? So no one saw her as a threat or a child abuser. It didn't matter what I said.
Well, and don't forget, most of these people go to church too.
Well, yeah, and she did do that, but she sent us with our quarters for our church and made us go. But yeah. But you know what I mean? But
I've said this before. I'm not religious. I am spiritual. I have a personal relationship with God, but my experiences with organized religion have just not been good. So I know that God's real. And I know he's taking care of us. And one day all of this is going to make sense. But I think right now it's just like, what the fuck? Like, you're down there fighting your ass off, Michelle. And I want you to know that your army is coming to help you. Like, I love you so much.
I just find it's
so hard to see you down there fighting so hard.
Well, that's because I think people, you're kind of reliving the little things from childhood on, like all this trauma. And it's like, we already know, and we're strong because we just absorbed it and dealt with it and had to. But people don't get it that a lot of people that don't have these things happen go, there's no way it happened. There's more to the story. Like there's a third party of this story, but there's not. It's just they've never experienced something like it and had to go, why do you keep fighting and nothing happens? Because if you don't fight, nothing changes. Like
Right.
if I had stopped, I would have still been in my grandparents' house. God knows what I would have been by the time I was an adult. But I was just so strong spirited. I felt bad for having to leave my brothers in that situation. But I was going to be the one that would have been injured and probably not alive. You know what I mean? So my only way out was to never go back and demand that I not go back and just kind of say, I don't care what you say. You can see me as the problem. You can move me from foster home to foster home, but I will never submit to this shit.
Thank God that you were able to do that. So,
you know what I mean? But most kids would just be resilient and they would go. And when I went into foster care, I was not the bad kid, but I got moved from foster home to foster home because I didn't get in trouble. I wasn't like a behavioral problem of any kind. So because they needed placements for kids that really were in like detrimental homes and very traumatic situations that dealt with it differently than my personality, they would move them and place them and take my bed and put me somewhere else in a group home or something.
Right.
So my sports and school all changed, but I still had to be resilient through it because what were you going to do?
Exactly. And you said something very interesting, which jives a little bit with what Levita shared with me when my friend Levita first told me about her domestic violence, which led all the way back to her childhood, and when her father would beat her with a belt and she'd have welts on the back of her back. And but she got more beatings because, for whatever reason, because she was the oldest. And you know, she didn't really understand it when it was happening, but she would always say that she didn't know any better. She didn't try to run away from home or leave because she thought that's how it was, that the parents could do whatever they wanted to the children and that you just accepted it because you were a child. And then when she started dating men and the men that she was attracted to her, and she says it right in her documentary, I was attracted, and the way she says it just like hurts my heart. And I actually saw her today. So that's what it's like right in my brain. She said, I was attracted to abusive men. And then she kind of sighs and she goes, oh, they were abusive. And it just breaks my heart because you'd want to think that because you were subjected to that as a child and you survived it, that you would never date a man that would lay a hand on you. But now the psyche works in mysterious ways, right?
Yeah, well, I can give my example. You know, my first husband was not a peach by any means. He might think he's recovered in some way now. You know, maybe we raised our daughter and it was hell, and it was similar, not as bad as my sister's hell, obviously, but it was pretty bad. And, you know what I mean? It was never that I let him put his hands on me. But once you had a child, you almost protected the situation of your child. And it wasn't because you were protecting him. It's because you knew once you separated, he would have more time with the child and he was aggressive and he wasn't parenting. He didn't pay attention. You know what I mean? That's why women stay in abusive marriages and relationships. It's not because they're necessarily attracted to them. Because in his situation, he wasn't like that up until the time we got married. He wasn't like that at all until we got married. It was like a Jekyll and a Hyde.
Oh,
and then he was even able to
wear that mask. Right. They're not going to show you that side.
Well, like he was even able to say, oh, if I did all this stuff, you would have never married me. Like you were a better person than me, he would say. And I thought you kind of changed me. BS on that one. But you know what I mean? But I didn't like just stay to stay. Like if he hit me, I'd beat his ass. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to let you hit me. But you always had to worry about when the cops got called, when you defended yourself, who would they believe? Because I look strong and I don't cry and I don't, you know what I mean? Because I'm able to stand head to head with them. Yeah, because I'm not going to let you beat me in front of my child. Well, like once you hit me, that's it.
Most states have this new law now too, where if they're called to a domestic violence situation and they can't tell which one started it, which one was defending, they have to arrest you both. And that's a terrible law,
well,
but
it still depends on the cops, unfortunately.
In 2000, I believe it was in 2007 when I got set on fire. It might have been 2008. Our governor of Missouri, Matt Blunt, I was very upset about this because he flashed a picture of my house that I lived in, that I got burned in, and said they were passing this law for zero tolerance for domestic violence, that if the cops get called for domestic violence, someone is going to jail. And they didn't, like, it's not like Hannah's Law or anything, but like they used my story without even asking me, used a picture of my house where at the time, my ex-husband's brother, who is extremely violent, I mean, he was on the level of my father, and he's extremely violent, and he was getting out of prison right after my ex-husband set me on fire. And he got my phone number and he called me. And I was like, I'm not wanting, I don't want you to come around me and my kids. And he said, yeah, because I'll finish what my brother started.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't know what the fuck your brother wanted. Your brother was demonic out of his mind and is apologizing every fucking day about what he did. He doesn't want me dead. He doesn't want my kids dead. Kindly fuck off. And I've had to like separate him because he's in prison right now. He went in prison in Missouri. If you get put on probation for something maybe minor or whatever, and you get like 5 years probation, if you have a drug related issue or whatever, you'll do like a 120 treatment, and you get right back out, and then you get a chance to finish your probation. Tim Draper went in for a 120-day treatment, stabbed someone with a pencil, and did not get out till he 12-12. And then he had to recommit crimes to get put back in prison. All his crimes are against women. He raped his girlfriend in front of their mother, my children's grandmother. She's a very evil bitch.
Wow. But again, a court would have just gave custody plans and said, well, he did that, but today's a different day. Let's exchange again and see what happens the next time. That's how Florida would have handled it. Like with Sarah and her situation, it didn't matter how many things Joe did or how many restraining orders she filed. They would just give more custody. Like, oh, well, you guys are having such a domestic problem. We know there's a problem, but they went from a few days a week to, oh, well, let's exchange twice a day, 7 days a week. And then they'll base it on Joe's schedule. So the day Joe would say he had off for the whole day, he would keep her for the whole day since he had less time sharing. But because he had less time sharing, he should have technically been paying child support. But because he got the overnights based on him claiming their work schedules, and Sarah couldn't defend herself in court, she was afraid of what would happen when they left if she said something against him. They said that Sarah would have her all day long and he would have her at night, whatever time he chose that he said he was working to. So Sarah wouldn't even exchange sometimes till 8 o'clock at night and have to get her at 6 a.m. So we had her less time and she was supposed to order to pay child support to him. And she fed her, bathed her, everything, every meal, every day. And they exchanged twice a day. They would have to exchange at the hotel in the morning. And of course he would be like, oh, you're too early or you're on time. Go away. And then he would call police and say that she didn't exchange. And then they exchanged in the evening at the police department where they're supposed to exchange. And he would be late. And he said, oh, well, you didn't see my text message. I had to do a car sale. I was going to be late. Or I don't have to tell you anything, even though the court order said it did. Or he would say, I'm going to make you late to work. And so then I would come and do the exchange and he'd have standoff with police. So he was victimizing her still. And he's like, well, she's going to work and she's supposed to do the exchange. And he would argue with them.
That's that whole like control.
But it's like just the working the system is what happens.
Yeah.
Like the abuse, there's an abusive, it's always a control. And it doesn't matter if you're in the relationship or not in the relationship. Once one person gains more of the control and they get somebody to believe it, and then they have a report more than one where they believed it at least more than once, they're like, oh, well, he must be the truthful one. Let's just go with that. And I know that
he's forthcoming because he's such I don't even know if he's a narcissist. I think I had heard a term like an antisocial. It's like bigger than a narcissist. Like he's fucking out of his mind because he's so secure in what he's saying. He believes his lies. He's a professional actor. And, when you believe your own lies and you come off, friendly, like kind of like my ex-husband, like you come off friendly, why would someone be intimidated when you're so forthcoming and you're willing to give extra information? And of course he threw Sarah under the bus. I'm so sure about where she worked and what she was doing and brought up anything he could. And, he looked like the clean cut freaking business guy that you want, I don't know, to be your church leader or your real estate agent or sell you a fucking car.
He'd show up with a work shirt with Honda on it or something, and then he'd have khakis on, and he'd be like, oh, well, she's a prostitute, and she's a drug addict, and she's got mental health problems, and I'm worried about my kid's safety. And then they'll, of course, say, well, are you an exotic dancer? And she's like, yeah, I just got off work. And they'll be like, oh, well, it fits his plan. It fits.
It's disgusting.
And it's like no one cared.
Right. And he doesn't look like a choir by here. And this was what his
Well, he
mugshot.
doesn't, but but if he just puts on a khaki shirt or whatever, he still just looks like the run of the mill guy. He doesn't look like some raging psychopath.
No, of course not.
No.
He looks like your boy next. He looks like your boy next door with the the shady blonde to dark hair and the blue eyes.
Oh yeah, he definitely does, and we've mentioned that before. We were up to this.
But the only thing with Joe is he's so confident. He's also very aggressive. He's very standing in his personality. Like he's going to gain control of the situation, and he's going to keep on until he makes it his situation. Like I know you've seen some stuff online where he always claims he knows somebody in power. He always calls out names. He always acts like he has some affiliation, and then he takes over a lot of other people's lives. Like he says he's done jobs he's never done. But it might be like a family member, like maybe his aunt did or his uncle growing up. So he says he's done that and he implements the things he knows about their job.
He believes his own life. He believes that.
He really does. Like he has convinced himself he's done those things.
So let me ask you this question. So we went through, we just gave a recap of Sarah's story, and until the tech issues happened, we were about an hour in, Ann and I, and we got to this point. Now, is this the email that they did get a warrant for?
Yes, they have a warrant for this one. This is one of the ones I accessed, I guess, around 8 or 9 months, and they gained a warrant for that.
Okay, so the one that we don't have a warrant for, I don't have written down in the deck. So I'll make sure I add the one that we need a warrant for. And put it.
Well, probably don't show it anyways, because that might give the individual access.
No, we won't show it on here, but I'll add it to the case deck for myself.
Yeah, but this one's fine. So that's one of her emails that they got the warrant for.
Right, exactly. So we have, we talked about Tyrone Mormon and how we know for a fact that the reason why he's a person of interest is because they did finally get his cell phone. He was arrested for not cooperating. He was arrested for lying to the police, obstructing a police investigation. He ended up getting probation for that. So we can't charge him for that again. So that's why we're stuck where we're stuck right now, because he still hasn't told the final truth of where did he give her a ride to? Where did he drop Sarah off? Now, what we're concerned with as well is that there is this missing binder that you said that you helped make for Sarah with all of her information on all of the nefarious activities of Joseph. And that's missing. So Tyrone would not give a crap about that binder, and neither would Tisha McDermott or James Schaller or James Robinson. Nobody's going to give a crap about that binder but Joe. So,
and people also speculated, what if he made her give it to him at some time before, like maybe he knew it existed because of court or something. Well, the thing is, Joe's not coming forward and saying he has it either.
Well, he destroyed it, obviously. It's all evidence against him.
Right. Well, I don't know that he destroys it. I feel like Joe will keep it for his own personal whatever. So the hotel manager that came in and found out he had access to this room, this extra room, when he opened the door, all he saw was paperwork laid across the bed. So at that point, he's like, it was a bunch of paperwork, almost like he was reviewing it. That tells me it was probably the binder stuff. Right. And he was probably looking for the different emails and stuff that were attached to all the printouts and stuff to make sure he got through all of the data.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you said that he was very tech savvy as far as he always stalked. Oh, yeah. He always knew where Sarah was, and he was always breaking her.
And it's not just Sarah. We have to say alleged because of alleged, but he has other alleged victims, and he does the same things to them.
I brought up before on the earlier podcast, I brought up I don't want to missay her name, Coral Rose Fullwood.
Yeah.
She was 8 years old. She was unalived in 2006, and that in 2008, Joseph Merlin Mayton was a person of interest. And I had talked about how what you shared when it said the detectives asked him for a DNA swab, and he said no, and they were like, okay, bye.
Yeah, well, he actually argued with them. The report says that he claimed he knew people in the council and all this stuff at city, whatever, and he didn't trust them, and he knew some judge or something. And they told him they would come back with a warrant if they had to. And he was recording them on the little cassette players or something. He was recording them when they were questioning him. And then he walked back in the house and shut the door.
I'm going to start recording my calls to the governor, because I know in Florida, you have to let people know they're being recorded.
Right.
That's
I don't know, Hannah, if you're aware of this or not, but Michelle informed me that Joe and Patrick Dwayne Murphy, who is serving life in prison for the unaliving of this sweet child, they lived in the same town in Kentucky.
They both lived near each other in Louisville, together. Yep, they were both near Louisville, Kentucky. And technically, Patrick lived in a little side town, and it's hard to even find his address or family's information, which is weird. But they both moved in 2003 to Northport, Sarasota.
But didn't Joseph take Cora back to Kentucky because a daycare had reported to DFS some abuse allegations, and then he fled back to Florida again, right?
Right.
Yes.
So one of the first places he went after when he got evicted from the Ocala Hotel a few months after Sarah went missing, like 4 months later, he went to Kentucky first to a hotel in Jeffersonville, Kentucky, and then he fled over to Louisville, Kentucky. And then he was evicted from another hotel at the same time, so the DCF reports were coming in for the essay of a child.
So I think that it's very
that was from a daycare.
I think it's very likely that Joe knew Patrick. I think it's more than
it's more than likely. And when you go through the history, you see that Patrick Murphy was meeting up in Fort Myers at a bar where Coral Rose's father worked and was a bartender. And Joseph Mayton was traveling to that same area 6 miles away from that bar. And he's a bar fly himself. He's an alcoholic. And he was going to see a doctor because he claimed he had back injuries where he was getting disability claims. And it was just down the street. So it's very likely they met each other. Now, Coral Rose's father got charged with pornographic stuff on a computer, but it wasn't his daughter at that bar.
Yeah.
And mind you, the bar wasn't close to his house.
This picture of Joseph particularly just makes every part of my body just cringe and like all hair stand up.
Now, and that's Coggin DeLand. So that's
one in that fucking picture. So fucking creepy.
And that's Coggin DeLand. That's when the custody battle really started.
I don't see the nice guy next door. I see the guy that is going to be in prison, hopefully for the rest of his life for everything he's done.
Remember, though,
allegedly,
but people that don't know what we know, when they see this, they don't necessarily see anything.
He just looks like a normal guy.
Looks like a normal guy in a
okay. To some people, I see a creep.
But see, you've had experience with creeps. You've been face to face with creeps. People that
you got to remember, there's a lot of women on these dating apps that swipe right for him, and they message him.
Absolutely, guys, they're going to swipe right for him because he's got nice teeth, he's got blue eyes, blonde hair. He's white. He's got a polo shirt on. And if you saw this photo minus the name tag, and you would, if you were just somebody who was looking to date somebody in their 40s, you would absolutely swipe right. I agree with Michelle 100%.
I agree with y'all. I wouldn't.
Right. Well, just because I've had people out of Ocala, Florida tell me he was on dating apps and they had swiped right. And then it went into a very sexual nature, very quick, like aggressive sexual nature. And they're like, yeah, something's off with this guy. So his behavior comes out pretty quickly. And they're like, oh, yeah, something's off with him.
That's very interesting.
Let me share with you guys the anonymous school teachers that we have had tips from regarding Joe. The words that have been used, and Hannah will relate to this, the words that were used were creepy, scary, manipulative, liar, because they found out later that he lied to many of the school teachers about Sarah and about Sarah's behavior and about Sarah's relationship with Cora. So we have creepy, liar, manipulative, scary. These are coming out of the mouths of people with 4-year degrees, some of them master's degrees, who are teachers who have been spending anywhere from 5 to 6 hours with Cora, who have grave, those are the words, I'm using the word they used, grave concerns for her well-being.
Well, yeah, and then we also have parents of the children at the school in Ocala that had messaged me that basically alleged that they felt very unsafe coming to the school to do drop-offs with their children. They felt as if they were being stalked or profiled and that he was just kind of always there. And they said that he was always kind of in your face and wanted to talk to them, even when they knew they had husbands and significant others. And they said they would pick up their child late or show up early. And then when he realized they were doing that, he would show up at the same times.
Yep. So the anonymous teacher that I spoke with also told me that there were bruises, that they did see bruises. This is in February of this year.
Did she ever say where the bruises were on her body?
No. And I made a note to myself to ask that because they didn't tell me that. I was lucky.
Well, they have to be visible, obviously.
Yeah. And I'm so lucky that they were willing to talk to me anonymously, because a lot of teachers will not, because they don't want to lose their jobs, but they are mandated reporters. So this particular teacher, I didn't speak to the teacher. I spoke to one of the administrators. So this teacher, I don't know her name. I just know that she did make a report to DCF to indicate bruising, dirty clothes, psychological concerns, slow in where she should be for her age. And they were very concerned, and that's why they made the report. Now that report has gone nowhere as far as we know, because then it was found that Joseph moved within 2 weeks of finding out that DCF was trying to interview him and interview Cora. He left Tallahassee. He quit his job. He left an apartment that he had just signed a lease on. He pulled her out of school.
And that was another thing. You found out that he had signed a lease and he just left from it.
Yeah. And he pulled her out of school on Valentine's Day. Who does that? I mean, they always have Valentine's Day parties at school for kids. That's why.
But the other thing is, we know that he didn't immediately leave town, though, because we know that he was using a gym membership from the 19th to at least the 23rd. So he was figuring out his next move, and then he dipped all the way out of town.
Right. And this is a problem because he did the same thing in Kentucky. As soon as that DCF report came in from the teachers concerned about her well-being psychologically and physically, he leaves Kentucky for Tallahassee. As soon as the DCF report comes in, concerned about bruising, concerned about psychological, he leaves Tallahassee, and guess where he goes? Back down to Sarasota, to his old stomping grounds. And Michelle was fortunate enough to find out. I'll let you tell everybody because we've never really talked about this.
Yeah, so I was contacted with concerns based on a behavior from, obviously gym patrons and people that saw him inside the gym. They saw that he had an Indiana, not this Indiana tag, but he had a Maryland tag. He was seen taking my niece into the men's shower areas where obviously men walk around naked. And that at some point the gym had to confront him because obviously people see a child. They know no children are allowed to be in there after hours, not supposed to be in there during hours. And when they spoke to him, he became aggressive. And the only reason they knew anything about him is because they looked up his name because he was so off the wall character-wise behavior. But then they saw all my videos. And then they're like, oh my God, this little kid's mom's missing, but she seems scared of him. She's following behind him. She's staring at the ground. And they're like, something is just off with him. And then they found out later, another gym told them that he had come to their gym the week before doing the same thing.
Yep. I pray that Mr. Black, because he is such a thorough researcher, and he has
probably still researching.
I'm sorry, say that again, Michelle.
He's probably still researching. He's probably like, what of a loophole did I just get myself into?
Yeah, because I sent him everything I got, and I haven't heard back from him. But I know Mr. Black covers so many different, stories, and he does such in-depth research. And he also has lots of different resources to help him. Like, I know, I asked him, to please cover Sarah's missing and endangered case and the deal with, Cora and Dahlia. I always want to call her Dahlia, but
that's fine. I mean, obviously, if people that are watching will only know her by Cora, so it's like we almost have to just start saying Cora.
Yeah, I don't say like Dahlia / Cora, but
let me dip in for just a second. I just wanted to let you guys know we're at the 48 mark of this second live, so we're almost up to our 2-hour mark, and I don't want to wear any of us out. But we will continue next week with more updates. But I do want to let everyone know about Creeps and Peaks, which is Hannah was the one that told us about Creeps and Peaks.
Hang on, my dogs are acting crazy.
You're good. You can just mute. mute yourself if you have to. I mute myself all the time when I have to. But I want to draw everyone's attention to this YouTube channel, to Creeps and Peaks, it's called. So that's CREEPS, Creeps, and Peaks, as in the peak of a mountain. And they are a group of individuals that are advocating for women who have been injured or hurt, and children, and they are making advocacy videos, and they have not asked for any money. They have done one for Hannah called Set on Fire, which we showed to you all a few weeks back, and they have done one now for Sarah called Vanished Without a Trace. So I want to show that to you guys tonight, and hope that you will go on their YouTube channel, Creeps and Peaks, and subscribe to them, because even when you're a non-monetized channels like we are, and like Creeps and Peaks, we're non-monetized. And what that means, just so you all know, is that we do not collect super chats. We do not ask for money. I do not get paid to do this. I'm 100% volunteer. I've never accepted a dime from anybody. I take that back. Kara sent me $5 because many of our subscribers have been sending me messages saying, would you please get a Cash App so we can at least help you when you need it for flyers for the families, or if the families are in trouble and they're running out of money, we can send it to you, you can send it to them, there's accountability. And they also said, we can help you pay for your YouTube subscription and your StreamYard. These are little things, right? But I'm not ever in this for a salary or for any monetary benefit to me at all. So that is the same with Creeps and Peaks. So I want you all to subscribe to them if you wouldn't mind, if you're
Please.
to us, because they're
Creeps and Peaks.
They did such a good job. It looks like the beginning of like a Netflix series when it starts.
They are extremely talented, and I say they because I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Like you said, it's a team. And whenever I had actually asked them, I said, well, I never asked you where you were from. And then they just replied and said, I want to remain anonymous, which is perfectly fine, because that just feeds into the fact that their empathy and their caring is 100,000% genuine. They really genuinely care about stories like Sarah and mine, and just want justice.
Well, not even that. If somebody's into like true crime shows, if you go in there and look at the links under ours, you're going to see some of them are true crime shows from a little bit further back, and they're kind of giving you updated details of them. So if somebody really is into that like series, if you're going on your treadmill or something, or just walking or whatever, you just kind of listen to it. You don't have to watch the video.
I do it all the time with my insomnia.
Like, I like background noise when I'm driving, not necessarily watching the video. So I just play it when I'm driving, so it's something listening to it.
I sleep with Forensic Files.
Yeah, I listen to a lot that way too.
I might learn more. They say you retain it when you sleep.
Right.
I think I've watched every single episode of Forensic Files that they've ever made. There might be new ones, but like with my insomnia and stuff, and also it makes me feel normal when I watch true crime shows, because I want to like not feel, I guess, alone, as well as I'm grateful because I'm alive and I relate. And I also want to know like how these evil people's brains like tick.
How they work. Like, what the heck? They all got a little method. I'm a people watcher. I get it.
Right. But we're never going to understand them. I learned this a long time ago about my ex-husband. If I understood why he set me on fire, that would literally make me as crazy as him. Because I'll never understand it. That's never like, even if let's say he at least put our children in the truck before he set me on fire, that would
they wouldn't be in the house. They're in danger.
Yeah. I just want to zip this up there again, because I want to remind everybody. So it's tough to talk about when people are so nasty on social media and on Facebook and Twitter, X, and all these other platforms. But there are people out there that you cannot trust, that are spreading false information, disinformation, just downright lies. And I have seen a lot of this going on since I started live streaming back in August. And I had done pre-recorded, and I'd been having, my program, Social Change Warriors, has been around since 2020, but I wasn't in the fray. Like, I didn't realize how ugly it is in the fray and how ugly people can be on social media, because I had kind of taken a step away from social media while I was coming up with and literally creating social change warriors. I didn't have time. I had a bunch of surgeries myself. So I wasn't even on social media. I took a break from Twitter and Facebook and all that. So when I decided to come back on this and I jumped in with both feet in August, and I really did not know what to expect. And I've just seen so much hate. Like it's so alarming to me. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that if you're advocating for any of the families that we're standing for, there's 17 of them right now. I don't accept hate. I don't accept. Yes, we can be mad if the witness isn't telling the truth. Yes, we can be mad if the suspect is not getting arrested. But I don't accept hate towards their families or name calling or making fun of people's weight or size or color or sexual orientation. We don't stand for that here because ultimately I am a social worker and I will always be a social worker, and social change warriors. We are here for advocacy. We are not here to defame someone or put them down or call them names. So even someone who killed someone, we're here to stick to the facts. If they killed someone, then they deserve to get arrested and jailed for that. But we're not here to say they're fat or they're gay or they're not gay or they're this color, that color. That's not, we don't care about any of it. It's not what is important.
Miss Catherine, if I had $1 for every time someone told me that I deserved what happened to me because I married someone outside my race, I would live in a very nice house right now. The people that tell me that I paid the toll, they might as well have handed my ex-husband the gas and the lighter. Like, how fucking evil are you?
Right.
They're right there with them.
Exactly.
Right. And Michelle's dealing with a lot of people on her page coming after Tyrone Mormon and his family because Tyrone's not telling the truth. He's not telling us where he took Sarah, but they're coming after him because of their race, because of they're a biracial family. Well, that's unacceptable because
I did make a post about that. Like, I don't do the racist card at all, and
Right.
like you can call somebody like a trash can, like I did Nadia or something.
Yeah.
Like obviously, but I don't expect someone to ever call anybody anything based on the race, because I could care less what melatonin is within any of your skin or what nationality you are, because that doesn't change what you did as a person. Period. You know, he doesn't change what you did.
Obviously, because look, Joseph Merlin Maton is damn near translucent clear, and then my ex-husband is as dark as they come, and the pigmentation, melanin didn't matter. They're both fucking evil. Okay.
Right.
Right. But as Hannah would say,
every evil comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, nationalities, backgrounds, sexual orientations, religions. There's pedophiles going to church every Sunday sitting with their families. There's rapists sitting next to their YouTube. There's R-word sitting next to their families every Sunday in church. There's domestic violence abusers. There's racists. You name it. There's everything and their mother sitting next to each other in church. And everyone thinks they're great because they go to church. People use religion as like a cover for everything, that because they walk in a church door, they don't commit any crimes. They're not evil. My own pastor told me, and I keep this pinned up for this. I've never told this to anybody before, and I've never told this to anybody on TV.
Well, do you want to say it on live? No.
But yeah, well, I do. My own pastor told me this when I told him that I was going to divorce my husband. This is what he
did
told
pass in a divorce proceeding.
This shall pass.
So stop.
All the reasons that I told him I was divorcing my husband, that was his answer, and that we don't get divorced in the church, that was a commitment that I made for life, and that I have to stay in that marriage no matter what, and that my husband is the head of my household. And so you talk about getting disillusioned with religion, getting disillusioned with church. How could anybody God-fearing and Jesus so loved the world, right? And God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. They would never want me to stay with a bad husband, and they would never want you to stay with someone who was going to set you on fire. If you would have had any,
but they would have
because domestic violence and sexual and sexual molestation within a family is so taboo. People believe that that's their issue. That's the husband and the wife. He blacked her eye on Friday, but look, they're in church Sunday.
Or it happened because the little child. Right, or they say the child might have dressed too risque for her age, and she brought it upon herself.
Yeah.
Like those evil, unfavorable thoughts came along because of the person did it to their self.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I would quote my mother-in-law on this one. She would always say, "I don't think I'm going to revisit that, Kat." Okay, I'll be doing that.
The worst thing I was told was by someone in the hospital, and they weren't wrong. I just didn't want to hear it. It is what it is.
Oh, that saying I've used it myself, so I can't be a hypocrite.
I use it too because it is what it is, and I am fucking mad. So that's what it is.
Right. It is what it is that, Sarah's been missing for 2 years. It is what it is that Tyrone Mormon drove her somewhere because his GPS phone aligns with Sarah's GPS coordinates in her phone, and that doesn't lie because that's science. So if you want to argue science with me, I'll argue with you all day long, because some things are just science and they are what they are, and the coordinates tell us. That's why we can use science. We can use DNA science, we can use phones, we can use all of these things that are at our avail technology wise to help us solve crimes of the missing.
Mooney, stop shaking.
But what's in the dark will come to light. And Jelly Roll said, what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. So, it's coming.
And what Hannah says is, all those comments just help the algorithm.
Exactly.
They do. They really do.
So the
creator even contacted me.
That's why I said today, I just let them comments go. I don't have them blocked on purpose. I want them to run their mouths.
Right. Yeah, because no matter what they say, it helps the algorithm. And it's sad.
It shows their true character too.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
We're just going to make it very clear to all of you that watch Social Change Warriors on Wednesdays, Angry Bitch Club, Thursday, Calling Out Corruption. Friday is our trial watching night. Right now, we're watching Karen Reed. We do not stand for bullying on his channel. We do not stand for name calling, racism, misogynistic comments of any kind, putting women down. We don't stand for any of that. So we stand on his facts and truth and getting justice for people that have been unalived by very nefariously bad, nasty, insane.
Confirmed monsters.
Yeah,
confirmed monsters.
You have to be somewhat insane to take someone else's life. That's not your job. That's not anybody's job to take anybody's life. So when you're on social media and you're talking about Sarah Ebersole, Sandra Birchmore, any of the ladies that we're standing for, Ellen Greenberg, Suzanne Morphew, or Suzanne Clark Simpson, Jason Veach, because we're still fighting his case. We want you to stick to the facts. We want you to stick to what we know, that we've been told by the police, that we found out ourselves, that Michelle has dug and found out herself, and stick to that. We would like to appeal to you to not call out anybody by their weight or their size or their color or their nationality, their religion, their sexual desires. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about Sarah, that she's a mother, that she has a child named Cora, that Cora is currently in the custody of a man that we believe is a sociopath and is very dangerous, and that Tyrone Mormon drove Sarah somewhere. We know this. The police have told us this. Now what we find out today is, and I can tell you this with 100% certainty, is that there was another person in Tyrone's car.
Yeah.
There was absolutely another person in Tyrone's car. So that means there were 2 witnesses to where Sarah was driven that night, not just one. Okay. So that other person, I asked the police, why is that person then? Why, if Tyrone was arrested for lying to a police officer, for not cooperating, for not turning over his phone, then why isn't this witness under arrest? Why hasn't this witness been arrested? If they were in the car, they saw Sarah physically get in the car, they saw Tyrone drive Sarah somewhere, they saw Tyrone drop Sarah off somewhere, and they're not cooperating. So can you explain to me why they're not arrested? The answer I got is simply this: they're dead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now we have 2 dead witnesses.
But who is the person that's unalived? They haven't released a name? That's weird.
No, I've always known that one of the witnesses mentioned they thought there was somebody else in the car. They didn't see them. They thought they heard a voice. They couldn't describe the person because they never made contact, but they knew there was somebody else in that vehicle.
That is freaking wild.
Yes.
Because when they thought it was an Uber, they thought it was odd that the Uber would show up with a different person because the person didn't get out of the car.
Right. So
they thought it was because they didn't know about ride sharing. You know what I mean? They said, why was there an extra person in that vehicle?
Well, and he didn't come on a Uber. Like, she didn't order him.
Well, no, but because she was texting, right? Because she was texting somebody, though, they thought two of the individuals that were dating, Tisha McDermott and James Schaller, thought it was possible she had contacted an Uber. She went over to James Robertson's like she was going to hang out and nap on the couch while she waited for her ride. They didn't know Tyrone. They had never met him because he was friends with James Robertson. James Robertson then texted Tyrone, and Tyrone showed up. So it's possible Sarah could have messaged somebody that was an Uber or something like an Uber, but not on Uber, and that they were going to arrive later than Tyrone, and he showed up before she got picked up because it was more of a rush to get there. Once he knew she'd be gone soon.
There's just so much to this.
There's little things. But the only thing is, it's still, no matter what we think or believe, we only know we have a timeline till 1:22 with photos. We know Marion County has a timeline of text messages from 1:24 a.m. And at some point after 1:24 a.m., he shows up. And we know Sarah was using her phone until 2:50, or somebody else was using it, pretending to be her.
Right, exactly. So now we have the mystery that we have Bubba, who passed away of drug overdose. After,
and let's say, and he was that was the other thing. He was inside of his home on the couch. That's where they found him OD'd. And because of the live that's went out from the other individual of the Mormon family, it was said on the live that he was found in a ditch or a field, but that is not true.
And why would they change the narrative? That's so strange.
And the thing it is strange. And I even reached out to the aunt because I thought he was in the bed. And I was like, hey, wasn't he found inside the home in the room? And she goes, no, he was on the couch, but he was inside. And then the little baggie of what were the 3 kinds of powders were on the side table. I just thought it was the bedroom because the way
was
she
it
said
fentanyl?
Fentanyl, cocaine, and oxycodone.
I wonder if he knew he was getting fentanyl. A lot of people don't.
I don't think he did, and obviously speculation.
They wanted to.
Well, yeah, and obviously speculation could be: did he just buy it from his normal person, and it was a bad batch they didn't know about, and they got scared? Was he purposely given it from whoever by somebody that said, make sure you give him that mixture to shut him up because he had already said too much and gave his information, because if he's not here, he can't testify. And if they're speculating he was in a field or somewhere else, was he placed?
Yeah, extremely strange.
So they might have to go back and re-question Leonard Anderson, the driver from the original truck, because he became his new roommate. That's who he moved in with before he had passed. And his wife was living in the home at the time, but she was in late stages of cancer and had passed. So she won't be here to question. And he obviously dealt with his death very hard. So, but Leonard would need to be re-questioned about, was he home or did he walk in and find him?
Yeah, I think so. I think they have to go back and look at.
Because now you might have an investigation for his death and how it happened, and was it accidental or not? And I don't believe, I know people have said online, I don't think James Robertson did it on purpose at all, regardless, because he didn't have an arrest history at all, like no record whatsoever. He was so young. He had worked normal jobs like at tire shops and stuff in the local community before he started working for the landscaping place. But he knew Nadia and he knew Tyrone and he was friends with them.
Sorry,
so
Michelle,
they might have got him into the drug area.
Weird background noise again. It's weird because we're at the exact same time that we were at with the first live where this weird StreamYard stuff started happening. And
it sounds like a TV.
Yeah, it's weird.
It sounds fine. It sounds fine to me. I'm not hearing any. It sounds normal here.
Are you on your phone? Are you both on phones? Yeah, and I'm
on my $36.
Yeah, and
I'm on my $36 Android, y'all. I got a memory card.
Good.
It sounds like you stuck your phone in an aquarium.
Right, and so
say that again.
Like you stuck your phone in an aquarium.
This is a StreamYard problem tonight, guys. So sorry to the audience. Sorry to replay.
I gotta go eat.
It seems like it happens right at that 1 hour mark. So I'll write into StreamYard, but there were 2 other creators that Julie told me had this exact same problem happen today and yesterday. So this is a StreamYard issue, but we have come a long way tonight. We've shared what we really wanted to share, that we are disappointed to hear that DCF has closed all of our complaints and Tallahassee's complaints. But we'll keep going. We're not giving up. We're never going to give up on Cora so that you can be with your niece again and see your niece again.
You will. I cannot wait till I see you with Dahlia.
Yeah.
Crazy too that the Tyrone Mormon family, their biggest thing now is like, I'm just trying to gain custody of a child, and that's what this is all about. Like, what? Like,
So
this
much
is a whole
more.
separate situation. A child needs to be saved. Don't make this about malice with
took
you.
the ball and ran with it. As soon as we started talking about Cora and about Joe being an unfit parent, now they've tried to turn the narrative that Michelle was always trying to take Cora from Sarah and that Michelle might be involved. Come on, like they keep
Imagine.
just to take it away from where
Well,
the
let me
narrative.
just say this. I don't have any problem giving my cell phone records Tyrone Mormon. They can have my whole entire activity log from every account I have.
But honestly, the person who has the biggest motive to tear you down and has the file and evidence that you know about is Joseph Merlin Mayton.
That is true.
I know you said you're gonna eat, but
because I am a fat girl, guys. PHAT.
I don't even know how I'm this big because I think it's my medication. Honestly, I'm on gabapentin, and ever since I've been on it, I just like blew up. I don't care though, because when I got burned, I went from like 215 to 128 pounds, and I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
So
And
that
I'm
was
5 foot.
disgusting. I'd
Yeah,
rather
I'm 5
be big
foot.
and bulky.
I'm just a measuring stick.
You're just a man.
5 foot. I can measure couches. I ain't got to move furniture.
You're
I
so
lay on the
cute.
ground. Girl math.
Was you how tall was Sarah?
5'1".
So she's taller than you.
My kids are taller than me.
Oh, I don't want to forget to say, everyone, there is a standout on April 12th. And it is, you go ahead. I'm going to live stream from there for all of you so that
Thank you.
Anna, you can come on.
Oh, I got a stand. I got a stand to put a cell phone on from Temu.
Yes, girl.
Got to advertise for the Temu.
Yes.
Because if you live broadcast, I need 2 phones. I need you to live broadcast on TikTok, and I need you to live broadcast on Facebook, or even on here. We can do 3.
Can you do one to the other?
No, like I have my government phone.
StreamYard won't let
I
me
want a
live.
government phone. Give me a government phone.
StreamYard will not let me live on TikTok. So I can live to LinkedIn, I can live to Twitter, and I can live to YouTube.
I can help you out with that, because I can actually. Wait, hang on. I'm trying to think. I can help
But I
you.
gotta go feed my kid. I'm not trying to cut you off. He's over here going, you're starving to death.
We'll figure all this out, guys. But on the 12th, make sure that you can join our live stream, Social Change Warriors, to be part of this standout. Even though you're not in the state of Florida, you can be there. I'll put you there with the live stream. Either we'll do it on Facebook Live, or I could bring my iPad, and we could do Facebook Live on the iPad and set that up, and I'll do a live stream on StreamYard from my phone.
And what time are we going to be there? 11:59 to 7:01. Isn't that what was quoted online?
Yep. Yeah.
In the grass.
To 7.
I'd like to be there at 11. But
yeah,
I know you got to feed your kids, but seriously, TikTok is so big that we've got to get, if anybody has 1,000 followers, like if you have 1,000 followers, you can go live on TikTok.
I think like 2,000. I think I have like over 2,000 on TikTok. It's not my main platform. That's all. And I think there's close to 13,000 on Facebook.
It's confusing, and I've been doing it for a couple years, and I'm still not good at it. But I can tell you that if we can get you live streaming on April 12th on TikTok, that's going to be big. Because number one, I'm going to share it, and then Hopefully we can get like Mama Tot tagged. Hopefully we can get like Bunny XO tagged. Different people. And of course, Creeps and Peaks. Of course, True Crime Junkie and True Crime Avenue. Those are all of the people. And of course, Miss Catherine.
Thank you. Well, guys, thanks for your bravery. Thanks for sharing personal stories. I mean, what happened to you as children is horrific. And anybody that I didn't have that happened as a child, I still can't even imagine getting a child.
But it happens to a lot of kids.
I know it, and it hurts my heart and it hurts my soul that there's grown adults out there hurting children to that level. But look at you now. You're both strong, you're survivors, you are parents yourself, and you're not repeating that horrible, absolute terrible, disgusting behavior that happened to you. You're doing the opposite. You're advocating for children, and you're advocating for the safety of children and the safety of women who go through domestic violence. And that really makes you heroes in the eyes of so many. And I hope you know that.
Yeah, I try to play the hero role more now than the monster role, but heroes and monsters, it's just real.
Yeah. It's real. And sometimes we get to be angry bitches. There's nothing wrong with getting mad.
Oh, I'm angry.
When I first started live streaming and I started trying to cover a little bit of the Karen Reed case, some of the Karen Reed content creators were very mean to me, for lack of a better way to put it. They just weren't kind. They were not nice. They didn't want to welcome me into their family whatsoever. But yet they got welcomed into the family by the one before them. And what makes one creator accept one creator, we don't know, right? But one of these creators from the Karen Reed movement, his name is The Glare, I'm not afraid to say it, he actually called me a finger shaker. He said, "You're just a finger shaker. You're nothing. Your channel is stupid." So that happened in like November, and I almost quit, to be honest with you, because it hurt me so bad and affected me in such a negative way. And I thought, wait a minute, who is he to call me a finger shaker? I'm not a finger shaker, I'm an advocator. I advocate for victims of homicide, domestic violence survivors and victims. And if that makes me a finger shaker because I'm pointing my finger at you, Tyrone Mormon, because you refused to tell us where you took Sarah, or if I'm pointing my finger at you, Sam, because you stabbed Ellen Greenberg 20 times and you're fucking living your best life in New York with a new wife and new kids, and if I'm a finger shaker because you coward who is in jail for killing your wife, how you did it, we don't know yet, but you hid her body and you won't tell us where she is. Suzanne Clark Simpson is still missing. He's in jail. He refuses to tell his own children where he put their mother. So if that makes me a finger shaker, you know what, Claire? Fuck you. I'm a finger shaker, and I'll stay a finger shaker for the rest of my life. And you can go and do whatever it is that you do. But I still believe Karen Reed is innocent, and I'll still talk about Karen Reed, and I don't need to be accepted into your family of little live streaming people that care about Karen Reed, because I care about Karen Reed, and I don't think she did it. And I think that town of Canton is full of shit, and I think they all should be fired, every last one of those cops. But don't ever again disparage me on your channel. Don't put my name in your mouth, okay? Because I'm a survivor too, and I don't put up with this shit from misogynistic asshole men.
Sounds like someone who has something to hide and he's scared that your finger might reach his fucking direction.
I've been wanting to say that since November. I was told by so many people, don't say that, don't say that. Why? Why can't I say that? I have every right to defend myself on my own live stream show. And if people don't like it who like the Glare, I don't care. Just because he's the Glare doesn't mean he gets to call me names. Right?
I gotta go. This child's never been fed this late in life. He's going to be calling Department of Children on me.
Go feed your child. I'll see you on the 12th, but I'll talk to you tomorrow, I'm sure.
I'll hear about it tomorrow. I'll be like, you starved me to death. All right, bye.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Well, everyone, we're having these weird, crazy sounds going on. Thank you, StreamYard, for giving us all these tech issues tonight. But we carried on. We talked louder over your craziness so that we could do our live stream and finish it, and we did it. So, Hannah, you are an amazing co-host. I can't wait for you to be back with me. I'm going to take you to school on Ellen Greenberg, Suzanne Morphew, and Suzanne Clark Simpson. And
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I want to say something real quick, though, because it's been on my heart that like I have a few people that are telling me that I'm letting other people make money off of my story. And I have to explain to them that the people that are helping me are people who are helping children, missing people, dead people. These people, they can make as much money off me as they want to. They are doing good work in this world, and we need more of them. I will always share my story for free. I will always speak on it. My book is for sale on Amazon, and I appreciate the support there.
That's a different story, though. That people buy books. That's what we do in America. We buy things that other people create. We don't expect creators. I've never expected any creator not to. I don't. The reason why I say I don't accept super chats is that's my choice. But I've given super chats to all these people. I gave a super chat to you, Blair, many times. Go look up your records before I use Social Change Warriors. I don't mind super chats per se, and I don't mind the creators are getting money to create because they're doing a service. But I don't
exactly. They're doing what we want.
Right.
They're raising awareness.
Right.
Why would I care?
Properly. That's all. That's the only concern that people have is that are you live streaming? Do you have good intentions though? Because when you're live streaming about people that are dead and their families are grieving and their lives are changed forever, you better have 100% good intentions. That's all people want. They just want transparency that if you're live streaming and you're actually collecting money and you're charging people to super chat you and to put up their chats, then we just want to know that you're a good human, that you really do truly have good intentions. That's all. As long as that can be proven. But there's a lot of people out there, and that's why we put up that slide of that PI, because that PI has been sharing false information about Michelle and her family and Sarah, and that's got to stop. Because just because he has a license doesn't mean he gets to share fake information and put out disinformation about Michelle to the world on his Facebook page. So that's why we always share that, because we don't want you giving any tips to this PI investigator, because Michelle officially does not have a PI right now in the case. So if you have a tip, it needs to go to the Marion County Sheriff's. That's where your tip needs to go. And then if you want to share it with us on Social Change Warriors, that's great. But not until you share it with the police and I get permission from the police to live stream about it. I don't share anything on this channel that is not my opinion or something that the Marion County Sheriffs have told me that I can share, or that they've already shared, or that Michelle has uncovered and has shared with them. We're not in the business to ruin a police investigation or cause problems for the police that are trying to solve the case, right? But we can be mad at the police sometimes. That's okay, because sometimes they suck. Sometimes they don't do their job properly, like what we've seen in Canton with the Karen Reed story. So much crappy police work, and some of it is obviously nefarious, and there might be dirty cops involved. Until you prove that a cop is dirty, then you don't call him a dirty cop. If you've got enough evidence where it looks like they are, then that's fine. We're going to call on corruption on Thursday nights. We're going to tell them to get their shit together and fire these people, because there are dirty people in every operation. There's dirty people everywhere. That's part of being human. That's part of society.
It's my intuition that there are two different people in this world. There are people who are here to hurt, and there are people that are here to heal.
Yep.
And that's my life experience. I am so grateful that you give me a louder voice. Of course, you know, my heart is just all over the place with Michelle and just watching her down there. Like, we gotta get TikTok live going, because it's just so big of the world.
If it stays around in the United States,
we've got to get a real private investigator.
Now, though, you know that, right? TikTok is on shaky ground right now. It may not be here anymore. They're trying to sell it. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware, but I'm just like, they took it away in January and then it was right back on. So I don't know what their issues are. I'm going to keep doing it. I've heard of another platform that people keep telling me to get on, which is like X. And then there's another one like Lemon. Like, I'm 44 years old and I have a 5th grade education, but a world's like a master's degree in fucking street smarts. Okay. Like, but when it comes to technology, like, I can do Facebook pretty well. I'm okay on TikTok and Instagram. Don't have a fucking clue. But
Well, I'm
just
super grateful.
into here.
I'm just super grateful that our paths crossed. You are an amazing advocate for victims of domestic violence. You are a survivor of literally your own murder. I mean, you should have probably never made it that night after what happened to you. The odds of you making it out of that are probably 1,000,000 to 1, don't you think?
Oh, I Googled it, and it is unlikely that you would survive, but obviously God is over all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a miracle. So I want to just say thanks to everybody that was in the chat with us live tonight. I know there wasn't a lot to chat about tonight because it was very intense with these two amazing women, Michelle and Hannah. So thank you for actually being quite quiet in the chat tonight. I really wanted it to be all about them engaging and interacting with their past traumas and how they've survived it, and then a little bit about what we found out about Cora and Sarah this week. And so thank you. Hi, Hills. Is that Hills Bills, right? I got to take my glasses off to read. Yeah. Hills, thanks for coming back. We appreciate you. And thank you, Julie. I know you were in the chat earlier tonight. Thank you to Kathy, all my amazing subscribers that show up every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But please share us out. We're approaching 1,000. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers for YouTube, we can actually do call-ins. We can take call-ins. And I would really like to have call-ins on some of these nights because the point of our channel is to give everyone a voice. I don't want to sit up here and preach at you every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I like bringing people on the platform with me. I've done that from the very beginning, and I like having people in the chat come onto the platform. And if people aren't always comfortable with that, so if they can call in and it's just their voice, people are more comfortable with that. So if you can help share us out and ask people to subscribe so that we can get over 1,000. Again, this is about the money.
Where are you at right now? How many subscribers do you have right now?
I think 925, 926, something like that.
Oh, we're close to it.
Yeah, we're real close.
All right, well, I'm going to work on that. And hell, you only need 25. I can create 25 Gmails.
I think we need like 75, but I'm grateful to every I'm grateful to every 900 plus person that subscribed to us because that's 900 more people that know about Ellen Greenberg and Sandra Birchmore and Suzanne Morphew and Suzanne Clark Simpson and Sarah Ebersole and what we're doing for Jason Beach, trying to fight just the ridiculous idiocy of his homicide in a Cabbage Patch bar, which we'll be talking more about possibly tomorrow night. I have to confirm with Kara when we're going to live again, but we're in the middle of I'm making a mini documentary with my associate creative department who wants to remain anonymous. And we're working with Kara and all of the audios. We're creating, not that I didn't, Creeps and Peaks told me they would do one, but I said, I want to do my own first. So let me do my own first, and then we'll have you do yours. Their style is very different than mine. So mine is more of a social work style to do these kind of documentaries like I did with Vita. Theirs is much more dramatic. And like you said, it looks like Dateline. I mean,
they are like a movie. They are so freaking talented.
So let's end our show tonight, and I hope there won't be interference, but I'm going to play it anyway. I want to play the Creeps and Peaks, what they did for Sarah Ebersole, thanks to you, Hannah, because we met you, and I introduced you to Michelle, and you told us about Creeps and Peaks. So we wouldn't know about them if it wasn't for you. And then we'll re-show your video and any other videos you want us to show when we meet with Angry Survivor, who is also one of our victims of domestic violence that we're standing for. She's a survivor. Her current abuser is in jail right now, but he could get out in July, as soon as July. And she's in fear for her life, people. If this man gets out of jail, she is afraid that he is going to unalive her. He's tried many times. Successful. Goes to jail, gets out of jail. Goes to jail, gets out of jail. So she's going to come back with us. She's on vacation, but she'll maybe in 2 weeks. We'll meet with her and one of my professors at USC, who is a specialist in domestic violence. She was ill tonight and was going to meet with us, but couldn't come on. So Carol Ann Peterson, amazing woman. She's written books, she advocates, she's a survivor herself. So we'll probably see her and you and Angry Survivor in 2 weeks, and we'll hear about what she went through and talk more about how we can prevent domestic violence.
Lots of prayers and positive energy for Angry Survivor. Yes. She remains anonymous. She was supposed to be on the podcast tonight. You said she wasn't feeling good. I know she
No,
deals.
well, Carol Ann wasn't feeling good, so she opted to
Okay.
wait until we can meet with Carol Ann and you, because I told her I was going to just talk about Sarah tonight since we couldn't do the Carol Ann Peterson interview. So we'll get together, Angry Survivor, you, me, and Carol Ann Peterson, hopefully in 2 weeks, as soon as Carol Ann feels better and Angry Survivor is back from vacation. But she has to remain anonymous for her own safety, because
I understand.
he has friends and people that help him find her. So every time she thinks she's hidden and safe, they have found her, and he has stalked her, and he has come to her apartment dressed in all black and tried to break into her apartment. And thank the Lord, one of her neighbors saw him the last time and called the police, and he ran off and got away. But recently he was arrested for stalking and has been in jail. And this new hearing now is another hearing. The hearings have been put off, and there's been stalls and all the kinds of crap, like what's going on with Sandra Birchmore, with him. Matthew Farwell's been arrested for, good Lord, almost 8 months now, and he still has yet to appear in court. Only his lawyer has appeared in court for him. So it's just the road to justice is slow, and it gets very hard. And that's why Wednesdays we swear a lot, everybody, because
I know. I just haven't seen that because it's on my TV again. I've got it muted, but just so that I can see your guys' faces bigger than this. So I seen that earlier, and I laughed because I didn't realize it said we swear on Wednesdays.
That's been kind of our tagline for the Angry Bitch Club, is that we swear on Wednesdays, because we try to just be real serious on Thursdays, totally serious, and stick to facts and stats and what can we do to make this better? How can we fix this? Where Wednesdays is our bitch night, because we have to have both, because we can't survive mentally in this world of victim advocacy and dirty cops and corrupt government if we don't have just one night to swear and bitch and complain about all this, so that Thursdays we can focus and Fridays we can focus on what we need to do to be a true crime family and advocate for everybody that we are advocating for. So thank you, Hannah. You're amazing. I love you, lady. Thank you, Michelle. Go feed your child, and love you too, girl. We love you, Sarah. We're going to find you, and we're going to get your daughter to safety. Though that's our job right now.
Name.
That's our job right now. So we're going to play the Creeps and Peeps down tonight. I hope you won't hear that weird sound anymore from that CPR seems to be putting on us tonight, but I'm going to try to play it. Hopefully you'll hear it, and then I'll play us out with our theme music after the Creeps and Peeps, and then we'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And then Friday Night Lives this week is we're going to finish up Colin Albert's testimony and move on to, yes, the ever-present and famous Jen McCabe, the queen of liars. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll see you on Friday. This is a busy week, and love and peace to all of you. And let me go and pull up the
God bless you all.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Hills. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Kathy, and everyone else that was live with us tonight. And thank you, Clay. We truly appreciate you. So I'm going to share my screen here for a second. Hopefully the noise will stop when I play the video.
I'm going to send these to Mr. Black.
That'd be great.
Because I don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, he is a busy man. But yeah, I'm going to send them to him, and he'll watch them when he gets a chance, I'm sure.
That'd be great. So I'm going to, hopefully this is going to work right now, because we're having so many technical difficulties. So it says your browser has blocked your screen. All right. Let's try it again. Definitely StreamYard stuff tonight, guys. All right, let's hope it plays. Let's see what we can do here. And you guys let me know if you can't hear it.
A young mother vanishes without a trace. No warning, no goodbye.
Is it?
One moment,
All right,
she was at a gathering.
Stand by,
laughing,
guys. It's still
alive.
not showing for some reason.
I
morning
can
she
hear
was
it,
gone.
but it's
Yeah, I can hear
No
it
one
too,
knows where
but I can't
or why.
see it.
But the clues, they paint a chilling picture. From a suspicious last sighting on camera to a shocking clue uncovered by her sister. This case is filled with twists, secrets, and questions no one can answer.
Yeah,
Was it foul play?
I can hear it too, but I just can't see it, so that's really odd. So let me go back and try it one more time. I'm going to remove it from the screen. Let's see here. Stop screen share. Okay, so we got to start over from the beginning. So we're going to try one more time, and otherwise we'll give up and we'll show it next week. We've done more than I thought we were going to accomplish tonight. So I'm happy that we got as much done as we did with this technical crap.
Or something even.
There we go.
Office.
There it goes.
In this video, we unravel the final hours before Ebersole disappeared, expose the conflicting stories, and reveal new evidence that could break the case wide open. Stay with us, because the truth is more disturbing than anyone imagined. Sarah Gale Vann, born on September 18, 1996, was more than a headline. She was a devoted mother, a beloved sister, and a fighter. But beneath her vibrant spirit, Sarah carried invisible scars. From a young age, she was stalked, controlled, and eventually trapped. In 2014, 18-year-old Sarah married Thomas Allen Ebersole. Their fresh start in Dunallen, Florida, was short-lived, and by November 2015, they divorced. Though the marriage ended, Sarah never legally changed her name back. Ebersole remained, a lingering reminder of a past she had already left behind. Years earlier, when Sarah was around 16, she met Joseph Merlin Mayton. At first, he seemed harmless, but over time, he became fixated on her and other girls, often lurking near the local high school. What began as a casual presence soon turned into something much darker. Years later, after moving to Reddick, Florida, Sarah tried to start fresh. But Joseph reappeared through MySpace, sending an innocent message that quickly escalated into something far more sinister. Within 3 months, he isolated Sarah from everyone she loved, asserting total control over her life. Joseph's violent past wasn't a secret. Multiple women had filed restraining orders against him for stalking, coercion, and abuse. But Sarah became his next target. When she became pregnant, the violence intensified. At 6 months pregnant, an argument over something as simple as humming turned violent. Joseph slammed her against the wall, an act of rage that left Sarah with no choice but to seek legal protection. But even after being granted a restraining order, the torment didn't stop. Joseph's psychological torment escalated. He hacked her social media, tracked her every move, and sent chilling messages describing her whereabouts. Sarah worked as an exotic dancer to provide for her child, but Joseph controlled her finances, keeping her trapped. He even forced her into a hostage-like situation in a hotel, using their daughter as leverage to maintain power over her. Sarah fought to protect her daughter, initially refusing Joseph unsupervised visits. But after the court granted him access, Joseph manipulated situations to gain more control. He coerced Sarah into signing custody papers, and when she refused to have another child, he withheld their daughter to further manipulate her. Sarah's final words to loved ones were chilling. "The happier you keep Joseph, the less violent he will be." A haunting reminder of the control he held over her life. March 2nd, 2023 started like any other day, but ended in mystery. The evening unfolded like a normal night, but by the end, Sarah Ebersole would vanish, leaving behind more questions than answers. Sarah's last known sighting was at a Circle K gas station in Marion County. Surveillance footage shows Sarah inside the store at 10 p.m., smiling, seemingly in good spirits. At 10:11 p.m., Sarah sent her final text to her sister. "I'm getting into a random truck with some cowboys. Hope they take me on a ride." Sarah left in a black Chevy Silverado, driven by Leonard Anderson and his friend, James Michael Robinson, also known as Bubba. They took her to a duplex at 18080 North Highway 441 in Reddick, Florida. At 11:08 p.m., photos from that night show Sarah smiling and playing near a tree. Nothing out of the ordinary, yet. An hour later, more photos, shared by Shala, show Sarah inside the house, appearing relaxed. But then, something changed. Sometime after midnight, Robinson sent a text to Tyrone Mormon, a man who had previously shown interest in Sarah. Around 4 a.m., Mormon arrived and left with Sarah. What happened next? No one knows for sure. Tyrone Mormon initially denied being in town when Sarah disappeared, but investigators found evidence to the contrary. In December 2023, Mormon was arrested for lying to law enforcement, but was released the next day. No further charges have been filed. Sarah's family, especially her sister Michelle, is skeptical of Mormon's story. The search for Sarah continues, but the questions remain. What happened after she left that house? Was she taken willingly, or did something darker happen? Do you think Mormon's story holds up? Leave your thoughts in the comments and let's discuss. The clock is ticking, and the mystery deepens. As the investigation continues, the last known moments of Sarah Ebersole only raise more questions. If you have any information, contact authorities. The search for answers is far from over. Think you know what happened to Sarah? Drop your theories below and let's unravel this mystery together. When Sarah didn't return home, concern quickly escalated. Her roommate reported her missing on March the 5th, 2023, prompting the Marion County Sheriff's Office to launch an investigation. Authorities conducted searches, interviewed acquaintances, and analyzed surveillance footage, but concrete leads remained elusive. Investigators questioned everyone present at the duplex that night. James Schaller provided images from his iCloud account without hesitation. The videos and photos appeared personal, indicating Sarah's familiarity with all three individuals. However, beyond these images, no one could confirm Sarah's whereabouts after midnight. Her house was a puzzle, each piece telling a different story. The shoes Sarah wore the night she disappeared were inside, but her cigarettes and lighter were left outside on the porch. No struggle, but something felt wrong. What's more haunting than Sarah's missing personal items is the teddy bear, a keepsake from her daughter's birth. More unsettling was what remained untouched. Sarah had over $1,000 in cash the night she vanished, yet she left behind essential personal items, a toothbrush, hairbrush, and makeup brushes. However, a binder was missing, containing legal documents and records of Joseph Merlin Mayton's criminal history dating back to 2000. In cases like this, where a woman goes missing, statistics show that 82% of the time, it's someone close, often a current or former partner. Sarah's ex, Joseph, has a history of abuse and control. His past interactions with her involved emotional and physical manipulation. As investigators dig deeper, his violent past raises chilling questions. Could his history be linked to Sarah's disappearance? As days went by with no sign of Sarah, her sister Michelle uncovered crucial information from Sarah's iCloud account. Could this timeline hold the key to solving the mystery? Amid the uncertainty, one person refused to let Sarah's story fade, her sister, Michelle Crystal Tullis. Sarah is not just a missing person. She's my sister. I won't stop searching until we find her. I just know that I'm going to track down whoever hurt her. Michelle spearheaded awareness campaigns, organized vigils, and collaborated with organizations like Missing People in America to keep Sarah's case in the public eye. Despite the lack of immediate leads, she refused to let the case go cold, reaching out to local media, true crime forums, and law enforcement to push for continued efforts in finding Sarah. Sarah was a free spirit, someone who truly believed everything was sunshine and rainbows. She always saw the best in people, even when they didn't deserve it. But someone took her away from us, and I won't stop until we get answers. Michelle Tullis isn't just fighting to find her missing sister, Sarah. She's also battling for custody of her 6-year-old niece, Cora Dahlia Mayton. Cora is currently in the care of Joseph Merlin Mayton, the very man Michelle suspects may be involved in Sarah's disappearance. Despite her efforts, Michelle's custody case was dismissed and she was ordered to pay attorney fees. But her fight continues. Michelle continues to raise concerns about Joseph's unstable living conditions, including multiple evictions. Determined to protect Cora, Michelle remains vocal about her mission. Cora deserves a life free from fear. I won't stop until she's safe. As days turned into weeks, Michelle's determination never wavered. Through social media campaigns, organized search parties, and countless sleepless nights, she remains Sarah's loudest voice, demanding the truth, demanding justice, and refusing to give up hope. But the search doesn't end here. Michelle needs your help to continue the fight. Will you join her in uncovering the truth? The Reddit community rallied together, distributing flyers and sharing Sarah's story on social media platforms, amplifying the search efforts. In times like these, we must stand united. Sarah is one of our own, and we won't rest until she's found. Despite exhaustive efforts, the investigation faced numerous challenges. Leads turned cold and misinformation spread, complicating the search for truth. Speculations ranged from foul play to voluntary disappearance, but without concrete evidence, these remained theories. As time passed, hope intertwined with heartache. The community continued to honor Sarah's memory, holding on to the possibility of her return. Authorities urge anyone with information to come forward. Even the smallest detail could be the key to unraveling this mystery. If you're out there, Sarah, we're waiting for you. And to anyone who knows something, please speak up. Our family needs closure. Join us in keeping Sarah's story alive. Share this video, spread the word, and let's bring her home. Gabby Petito.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring. They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life matters is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring. They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. It's just us.